Today, I want to talk about my history with my attempts at YouTube because this is not my first attempt at running a YouTube channel. I mentioned I've done 15 years of being on social media, mostly as a consumer, then some sad attempts at professional stuff that didn't work out, and now here I am just making videos where I talk about whatever I feel like on YouTube. So, my first attempt at a YouTube channel goes back to 16 years ago, around March or April. Sometime in the next few months will be 16 years to the day that I did this video called I Henry because I was really into watching iCarly, so I made my own thing like that and I interviewed my dog. Yeah, it was kind of cringe. I don't have it anymore. I purged all of I Henry from the internet, so you won't be able to find a copy of it. I would later do an episode about interviewing my cat. And then I don't remember the rest of what I did. I just know that by the end of, within a few years, I erased it from the internet. And I also, later in middle school, because this was in sixth grade, eighth grade, I tried getting into making fan made trailers of video games, mostly just rearranging footage and such. Like, I remember making an Ocarina of Time 3D video, a fan made trailer for that because I was really looking forward to it. Over the course of that school year, I also tried things like Santa Claus Link and basically trying to mimic what I saw in Smosh, but on my own scale. And a little bit of Stupid Mario Brothers, as I mentioned when I got to high school, specifically in sophomore year when I finally decided to use the ability to sign out equipment and make the short film I had in mind. So it was 11th grade that I finally got it uploaded and published. But by then, I think I deleted the previous channel and then started the new one that just came from the Google account I had in 2012. Because I had to make a new Gmail for something, or I just needed my own email account for stuff because I was at an age where I could do that and needed it to sign up for things. So yeah, I basically just had a channel that housed the 4 short films I made over the course of high school. And then I tried vlogging in college. I would mostly be using an iPod Touch to as a separate camera. See, I've always thought that iPhone or iPod cameras were good enough, and because I never really had the money personally to buy a proper mirrorless camera until the day after my last college final, and I got one of those, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, from about 2016 through 2019, I was doing on and off vlogs of life outside of college. So I'd document going to a 4th of July parade to see my friends' band perform, and other things I'd drum up for the sake of having something interesting to record rather than just enjoying the moment. See, that's why one of the reasons I think I like making videos like these is that I can talk about whatever I feel like, and then that's all I have to record. And when I'm not in here, when I'm even if I'm just upstairs playing video games, or when I go out, I can follow the policy that I like of just snapping a couple photos of something, maybe taking quick video clips before putting my phone back and enjoying where I am. Like when I went to the aquarium, yeah, I would have spent way more time getting way more footage than I could bother going through for the sake of memories. But because I wasn't doing any kind of vlogs, I was able to just get some photos and videos for the sake of memories and for playing around with the overpowered cameras of the 16 Pro Max. Anyway, getting back to college, yeah, pretty much up until the end of 2019, I tried being a vlogger, just doing whatever. I tried to sustain a 2 videos per week model of more heavily edited videos like that over the course of years. So 2019, that's when I got that camera I told you about. That's when I really started to try and do that. And this is back when I graduated college and was in that moment a NEET. For those of you who don't know, that's an acronym for not in employment, education, or training. Because I was neither employed or in any kind of education or training from May of 2019, then all throughout June of 2019, and then into early July before I got the movie theater job. I'd drum up places to go for the sake of content. Mostly the Franklin Park Zoo because of my membership, and then Castle Island because that didn't cost me anything beyond gas, and then food at Sully's. Yeah, I'd mostly get landscape photos and videos, walking POVs, and I'd try balancing it with playing Pokemon Go, which I'd also screen record. I especially did that more in 2020 when I started going for regular Pokemon Go walks because there wasn't anywhere else to go or anything else to do. So yeah, that's basically what I did throughout the 2020s. I mentioned briefly tried making self-improvement content in late 2019. Yeah, that was my way of trying to just record a monologue like what I'm doing right now, but also pepper in B-roll, which I decided I'm done trying to put in the effort of heavily edited videos when I can just talk like this, make sure the audio's all good, and then put it out there. I'm not afraid to show my flaws. Sometimes I trip over my words. Sometimes I have long pauses that I'm trying to fill with taking a drink of water so that it seems a little less awkward. Yeah, I tried vlogs up until 2024 when I realized it was way too much work, and then I tried sit down videos that were somewhat heavily edited. Oh, another thing, I tried movie reviews over the course of times, like 2016 into 17. I had a movie review Monday where I reviewed one or both of, well, my Saturday movie in 2016. Then 2017, I think I expanded it to add in my Friday movie, or I did something with that. I just know I experimented with, I tried getting into movie reviews. With that, I would try and be a little creative. Like when the original Moana came out, I actually made a parody of the How Far I'll Go song. It was pretty crudely made. I just took the iTunes file from the iTunes purchase of the instrumental version of that and then made my own lyrics. When Doctor Strange came out, I tried all kinds of weird visual tricks to reflect the visuals of the movie as best I could with iMovie and recording on my iPod Touch, which I still had in addition to my iPhone, but that was my Pokemon Go device. The iPod Touch was basically just my camera. This was before they got really good, like where they are right now, especially with the Pro models. Actually, that was before Pro models were a thing. Anyway. Oh, also in middle school, I tried getting into video game YouTube. Like, I'd prop up my DS, and I would actually use my iPod Nano, which could only record video and not take pictures, and I would record footage of myself playing Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver at the time, and then 2011, the same with Black and White. Basically, I'd play one version for pleasure, and then the other one I would play on camera. Like, it was a really crappy setup where it was just my iPod Nano propped up to record the screen. Like, you've probably seen what happens when you take a video on your phone of another screen, how the lighting acts up. Yeah, it's not a great look. Today I have my capture card, so I want to record any of my gameplay on my Switch. I just have it hooked up to that. I record all my gameplay because that's what I used initially for the early videos before I decided to just show my face and not be afraid of that. I mean, I already had my name as the username, and the profile picture was a picture of me, so what was the point of hiding? Anyway, I got the idea from Giancarlo Paramango 11 and the other guy whose name I don't remember. Seeing how they do the same with the Japanese versions of the games when those came out before the American versions. I really wanted to be a gaming YouTuber back then. Of course, it got a little more complicated when I tried it with games like The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass or Spirit Tracks, because you actually had to get both screens in there. I would not bother with trying to get the top screen. And overall, it looked really crappy, and you could see the reflection and everything behind me when the screen went dark during a change from one scene to another in the game, or the load screen. Yeah, not as much editing work to do, mostly because I didn't know how to edit videos and didn't know what software to use. I first learned basic iMovie in 8th grade, and then 10th grade is when I was able to use Final Cut in the high school video production program, which to this day I still haven't gotten for myself, especially after I got a MacBook for Christmas 2015. So yeah, fast forward back to after college, and then my 6 or 7 weeks as a NEET, and then the 8 months working at the movie theater. And then after I finished that job, when I wasn't working the instant gratification job, I tried getting back into vlogs because I had the $600 mirrorless camera that I got as the graduation money, so I may as well have put it to good use. Yeah, it just became a lot of work after a while for so few views with all the editing I did with it. I would use iMovie because I still wasn't willing to invest the $300 into Final Cut. No, wait, I used Adobe Premiere Pro because this is back when I was hooked on using it from college, because that's what they had us using for everything in college. God, I sank money into that subscription. I should have just worked with iMovie like I eventually did towards the end of 2020 or in 2021 or 2022. Excuse me, I am so sorry. I am so sorry that I burped like that. So yeah, basically I'd try vlogs centered around me being an indie author a- at some point, a couple points. I think I kept a 2 videos a week streak going for 6 to 7 months in 2022. Yeah, I'd be on and off again. I can't say that I put out 2 videos a week every week for several years back, because I did eventually lose the willingness to keep going with those in 2021. Then I would pick back up in early 2022, and then by the middle of 2022, it seemed kind of pointless. And then 2023, I picked it back up eventually. And then I also decided to start doing this show that I called According to Letterboxd, where I literally just read people's reviews of a movie I saw on Letterboxd and then reacted to it. I did a couple of those per week because I used CapCut at the time to make them more highly edited to give them. I actually brought that channel up to 100 subscribers. Yeah, I was up to 100 subscribers before I pulled the plug on my movie review operations completely in March of 2024. And then it was from then until it was from late February when I started doing vlogs where I thought I'd be able to do vlogs about selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace and donating stuff to savers. But after the stress of being ghosted too many times by potential buyers on Facebook Marketplace made me give up on that. I pivoted towards documenting my indie author hustle, incorporating such personal things as my trip to upstate New York for my cousin's son's first birthday party, which I didn't really get much of. I mean, when I was doing the vlogs in 2021 for my cousin's wedding, I actually managed to feature my cousin and her now husband in the at one, and I was also gathering footage for our mutual grandfather who wasn't able to make it out to upstate New York for the wedding. But the problem with vlogs was it was getting really hard to involve other people and get B-roll. See, I feel really weird when I capture other people on video. I mean, in a public space, it's fair game. Like in the aquarium, I did everything I could to keep people out of frame when I was taking a video clip of the penguins doing their thing. I mean, I remember from video productions from my college classes in the TV concentration that basically public spaces like a public street, or I guess you could say that the aquarium at the aquarium and the what is it, the zoo, the museum are fair game. Okay, those aren't really for like professional productions, because for professional film productions you have to pull permits and get permission and all that. But for taking B-roll for TV news segments, basically public streets and public buildings are fair game. I learned from my multimedia journalism class that somewhere like, say, a supermarket parking lot is considered private property and generally protected from being filmed unless you unless something newsworthy is going on, in which case it's null and void, apparently. That's how I was able to do one of my projects on the Stop and Shop strikes that were happening. I was actually able to go up to the picket lines and interview the striking workers for the sake of the project. It was a really in-depth class. I also learned how Massachusetts is a two-party consent state when it comes to audio recordings, meaning everyone who's recording a conversation has to give their permission for audio recordings to be recorded and published. So, if you're in Massachusetts and you record a phone call without the other person's knowledge or consent and then publish it, you've got a lawsuit on your hands. But if you are in Texas or New Mexico, I'm pretty sure New Mexico still is. I know it was in the 2000s, according to Better Call Saul, a one party consent state. That means you can record audio in any public space or on a phone call, and it's fair game. Yeah, when it comes to visually, it's all fair game in public spaces like a public street where you have no assumption of privacy. That's the words that they used. Because obviously, like a public bathroom, you're going to have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So that's off the table, and rightly so, I'd like to add. Anyway, the point is, despite knowing the reasonable expectation of privacy standard or something like that, I still felt weird recording B-roll for vlogs in spaces like the aquarium and such, or even in public streets. I always felt the need to delete the audio from that. It was impossible to monologue when I was anywhere that wasn't inside a car or something like that. I mean, we got pretty decent audio when we'd give our hot takes on a movie we just saw when me and my friends would come out of the movie theater and give our hot takes in the little bridge between the parking garage and the movie theater. But really, I found I preferred the more grounded setting like this. And I've watched slash listened to enough content similar to this. I was like, I could make something like this. And that's why I pivoted in 2024 after 15 years of various types of content, playing around with whatever came to my imagination in middle school, trying to get into vlogs over the course of nearly a decade from the tail end of high school, all throughout college and the first 5 years afterward, focusing on being an indie author at certain points with it to make it basically promotional material for my books. Which, to be clear, this is just me saying whatever I feel like. Then finally, an attempt at a studio setting of YouTube videos and recording and trying a show where I read and reacted to reviews of movies and these that I'd seen, I ultimately decided this right here is the way. Yes, I tried to hide with video gameplay footage instead, but once I actually played around with the in-frame feature of my iPhone and realized, you know, that actually provides me better audio, and since I'll be recording the video anyway, why not just go ahead and do it like this? And this is how I'm going to keep doing it. Yes, for the first month, for the first nearly 4 weeks, I'd actually go through the effort of chopping out the dead space and pauses and other things I decided not to include. But once the bike dance band finally forced me into a corner, I decided this is the way. So yeah, 16 years later, I really hope that I'm trying to decide whether middle school me would be impressed or not. I think if I could go back in time and show middle school me what I'd be doing for YouTube at this point, I'd hope that he'd be impressed that I never gave up. Of course, there's no telling what that kind of time travel would do, whether it would change my situation now, like in Back to the Future, whether I remember that, or if I'd have all my memories of the old timeline, whether it would create a new timeline, like in Avengers Endgame. But I think I'm going to leave it here before I go into a rant about how time travel would actually work. So, thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you stayed here for so long. Give this video a like, comment what you think of my past YouTube attempts to sum up iHenry, Pokemon stuff, short films, vlogs, various attempts at vlogs with different types of angles, grounded studio content that was more heavily edited, gameplay rants, lightly edited videos like these, now just super lightly edited like these, meaning I apply the in-frame audio mix when I'm done. That's why you don't hear as much background noise, or it's extremely muffled. After that, I just trim the pre-roll and post-roll. Now I'm doing the pre-roll and post-roll in iMovie so that I can extract a frame for the thumbnail. And it's a lot more precise than the Photos app. Subscribe for daily videos like these. I have no intention of stopping, and I'll see you soon.